Hello and welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. My name is JT and you are watching Black Box Trading. We survived the weekend. But not only that, there's kind of this slow stealth breakout. Now I know, slow stealth breakout, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. A breakout usually comes on high volume. A breakout usually is quick and the market doesn't miss them. But sometimes there are these moves in the market that happen on low volume that can show you where the demand lies, and we refer to this as an ease of movement. Let's just dive into the charts and let's tell you exactly what we're talking about here. So let's go over to this chart right here, and this is the breakout. This is the breakout that we're looking at here. So this downward sloping line of resistance that we were talking about last stream, we had the fake out breakout over here, got a rejection right back down to the bottom of this channel, and a rally right back out of it, and we've been out of it for 3 days. This is day 3 of this breakout. Now it's happened on really low volume. Let's turn the volume on. Really low and declining volume. So for us to get excited about something like that, we need to take into account volume should never be read on its own. Volume, we got a couple of questions like this last week in interpreting volume. Volume and price need to be looked at together. So volume is the effort and the price is the result. You can't just look at volume and determine anything, just like you can't simply look at price and determine anything. Not individual candles. You can look at overall trend, but not specific candles. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing low effort and an upwards result. So the price is climbing even though volume is low. We refer to that as an ease of movement. And you can have an ease of movement in both directions. And ease of movement is not necessarily the speculators coming in. It's not necessarily telling you definitively that this is going to be the outcome. What an ease of movement, whether it's an ease of movement up or an ease of movement down, is it's telling you how the order books are stacked. And that's a rare opportunity. That's a rare glimpse that you get into the market where you can see where is the equilibrium of supply and demand, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. When we're in a bull market, the equilibrium of supply and demand is usually skewed to the bull side, meaning there are more bids than there are asks. And when you're in a bear market, the equilibrium is the opposite, where there are more asks than there are bids. So when we get these little glimpses into how the order book is intrinsically stacked, it's revealing. And what it's revealing is that we are bullish. There is more demand than there is supply. So even when volumes are low, Bitcoin will just tick. It'll just tick to the upside. It'll just slowly move to the upside. It has an ease of movement to the upside because there are more bids than there are asks. Now, how does this relate to the breakout? It's a breakout should come on high volume. A breakout, full transparency, a breakout should come on high volume. So this breakout isn't really confirmed, in my opinion, until we can start seeing that volume come in, and that effort, that volume results in higher prices. We need to see a big breakout candle like we're used to. We need to see that breakout candle. So although it's nice to get this glimpse into the order book and see that we are indeed stacked bullish, it's a breakout to be wary of. So, I do think that this will resolve to the upside. But we have the US Open today in a couple hours, and not a couple hours, tomorrow for a lot of people watching in North America. and we will have to see what kind of volatility that brings. There's still a lot of drama in the headlines. China's putting on massive retaliatory tariffs, but I think the market's also kind of tariffed out. You know, a lot of that stuff has been priced in my opinion. So we will have to see. But I expect there to be maybe a drop. Well, I'm actually counting on there being a drop at the open because I have my bids stacked ready to play. Yeah, I've got this trade set up. This is not, I haven't made it into this. These are just resting orders. My orders currently are sitting at 82.8. And I expect those to get filled at the US Open. So maybe the volume comes in on Tuesdays. Usually Mondays are kind of neutral days with the market open, and you see trend clarity for the week come out on Tuesday. So maybe this resolves today. Maybe you get a trend direction today, but we will probably get trend continuation tomorrow. Tomorrow. You might be watching this late. I don't know. Is it Sunday in the US? Yeah, it's Sunday. So on Tuesday would be where that continuation comes from. So we will watch and we will wait. 26 people watching. Hit the like button. Helps out the algos. If you guys like this content, retweet it. Reshare it, share it around, spread it like butter, baby. Gold, man, all-time high in gold. And of course, this is when the wife starts shopping for a gold bangle. She's looking for some gold jewelry at gold's highest price. So we're gonna have to wait for a dip before we go gold buying. But yeah, it's a great chart. I love this chart. It's just, the thing I like most about this chart is M2. M2 is rallying, by the way. M2 has broken out. We'll go and take a look at that as well. But look at the correlation between M2 and gold. When I move, you move. Just like that. Look at this correlation. So when M2 is in expansion, gold is rising. And boom, look at that. Big move in gold, big move in M2. Now, we'll dive into M2 a little bit more because it does relate to Bitcoin. As you've watched on this channel prior, we've mentioned it multiple times, probably every second show at this point. It's something that we're watching quite closely. There's a lag. There's like a 70 to 90 day lag with M2 money supply expansion and the rallies in Bitcoin. So we're getting close. We're getting close to a rally. You know what? Why wait? Why wait? Let's just talk about M2 right now. Let's talk about its correlation to Bitcoin. Right here. So yeah, as we've mentioned numerous times, there is a little bit of a lag. So it was much more correlated in the early parts of the bull market, which makes sense because there's way less speculation. So, you know, for better or for worse, the Bitcoin market is filled to the brim with speculators. Most of the people, even the people who claim to be Bitcoiners, are speculators. We don't have that many true Bitcoiners in this ecosystem, and with Wall Street in, that's only gotten worse. But when we were in the depths of the bear market, it was highly tied. It was very much like gold. When we look at the gold chart now, when M2 is climbing, gold's climbing. Same thing back here. When M2 is climbing, Bitcoin's climbing. Came down. It was very, very correlated, broke out. And then around here, all-time high. What happens at all-time high? The new cohort of crypto tourists come in, and all the speculators come in, and now we have the paper hands to deal with, and they slow things down. They've created this lag. They've created, ultimately it's like, the Samson Mao analogy of holding a beach ball underwater. Eventually the beach ball is going to pop up with all the paper-handed speculators, selling because they're scared. It holds the price down, but eventually the underlying intrinsic demand of Bitcoin takes over and just impulses to the upside. And it's been taking about 90 days to resolve. So back here, you can see this move right here. This is when M2 took off. Bitcoin was still in a consolidation, and it didn't put in its low and start rallying for about 70, we'll call it 80 days. 80 days. And then the top of M2 right here came in on the top of Bitcoin, again, 80 days. And now here, the bottom of M2, where it starts rallying, if we go right on the candle that we're at right now, the candle at which I am bullish, we're at 84 days. So, we've lined up to that kind of time parameter. And like I've said multiple times, with the monthly chart, what are we looking for the monthly chart? This candle right here. Now we're mid-month. We still have 17 days left in this month. But I said, this is the candle that you want to see. If we close this candle, the month of April, if we close it as a bullish engulfing candle, meaning that the body of this candle is green and it is larger than the body of this red candle, that is going to signal a reversal. We have been coming to the downside. That is going to be your 3-bar reversal. Red bar, doji, bullish engulfing. That's your 3-bar reversal. That leads us into May, where May will very likely break above this monthly candle here. If it is a traditional 3-bar reversal setup, you will not encounter resistance until we are at $102,000, with confirmation of continuation of the overall macro trend, which is an uptrend, with any close in the month of May above 102. I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but if over the next 17 days we are at or above this price of 84.5, we have set ourselves up for a clean May, and that clean May will get us above 102. I think it'll actually end at an all-time high, signaling even further that we're ready for the next impulse. We're ready for the next phase 2 of the bull market. Phase 2 of the bull market is the most exciting phase of the bull market. That is when altcoin traders start making money. That's when altcoin traders start making bank. That's when you see Bitcoin dominance start to rotate, and this is no longer an uptrend. You start to see this transition into a downtrend. So phase 2 is the most exciting part. That's when that's when you cash it in. That's when you can start reaping the benefits. You've planted the seeds long ago. You've let the plants grow. It's time to harvest. Phase 2 is harvest season. Long road. But it's not without its turmoil. I don't know if you guys know what happened here. Pour one out for the bulls. We're not talking about Olympus Dow This is Mantra Dow. It was a rug pull. After all this time, after all the bullshit, after their transition into real world assets, it was a rug. So I'm not going to beat on the altcoin traders too much this cycle. The reason that I'm bringing this up is, we are expecting that rotation. We are expecting phase 2 of the bull market. We are expecting Bitcoin dominance to fall. That is not an excuse to go all into altcoins, because what does every single altcoin have that Bitcoin does not have? Maybe not every single altcoin, but 99.999% of altcoins carry something called counterparty risk. This is something that Bitcoin does not have. There is no counterparty risk with Bitcoin. As long as you hold the Bitcoin, you hold the keys, it is on a wallet, and you don't have some, you're not saying you're holding Bitcoin because you have MicroStrategy. You're not holding Bitcoin on an ETF. With those products, you're paying for the privilege to have counterparty risk. But altcoins, all of them have counterparty risk. And this is the perfect example as to why it is important to understand the dangers of counterparty risk, because you are at the mercy of insiders that are not communicating. You are at the mercy of a well-established team. Ohm's been around for a long time. They are not new. You're at the mercy of this product that's been live for years and years and years and building for years and years and years, for them to just be like, we're going to rug. So just be careful. If you are going to dabble in altcoins, just because we're entering altcoin season doesn't mean you sell all your Bitcoin to go into alts. Bitcoin is the safety net. You need to work with a safety net. Bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. Don't be greedy in this market. Do you think Casper's about to break out? Probably not. Probably a little too soon. Let's take a look. We need to see that rotation. No, this, let me just make sure I got the right ticker. CSPR. No, I don't think Casper's about to break out. No, sirree, Bob. I think it looks like shit, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, breakout's a strong word. Recover. Develop. Is there a potential low for a trend reversal potential? Here's the thing, like, just identify trend. Trend is really, really important. What's the trend here? We have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high, and right now we have a potential higher low. So if not that, this is not a statement where, oh, we have a higher low, this is what happens next. No. If this happens next, now you have the ability to start being bullish on Casper. So if we rally past this high, what do we have? A higher high. And from the higher high, we will get another higher low, and then a higher high, and then a higher low. And now you have a trend. Right now, you're still in a downtrend. So when you're in a downtrend, you got nothing to be bullish about. You got a hope and a prayer. That's it. And I'm not trying to sound callous and like an asshole. I'm just trying to help you guys on your journey of identifying, what's a good investment? When should I get into this stuff? And when? Like, people say all the time, it's not about timing the market, it's about time in market. And in most markets, that's true. But if you're an altcoin trader, fuck no. Absolutely no. Altcoin trading is all about timing the market. That's the only factor that matters if you're an altcoin trader, is how well did you time the investment. And that's why I focus so heavily on Bitcoin dominance. Until this starts falling, it's a bad time. And since everything about altcoin trading is about timing and not time in, because every altcoin, the longer you're in, the worse you're off. Because it's all about timing, you have to wait for this to start behaving. So do I think Casper's going to break out now? No. I mean, it's got a lot of work to do. Do you still keep your target for BTC above 200K by the end of the year? I do. And I've maintained that target since Bitcoin was at and it's above. My target is kind of a silly range, but it is my target. My target is between $250,000 and $1.2 million per Bitcoin this year. I know it seems fucking crazy that I'm even entertaining the $1.2 million, but if you haven't been in Bitcoin as long as I have, you may not have seen or felt what it's like when Bitcoin's actually rallying. We've been in a bull market, don't get me wrong. We've been in a bull market. We've seen some nice rallies, but we haven't seen phase 2. And phase 2 is crazy town. Just green day after green day after green day after green day. Nonsensical euphoria managing craziness. And we haven't seen it yet. The supply shock is real. Now, there are some concerns around paper Bitcoin. There are concerns out there that Coinbase doesn't have the Bitcoin that they say they have. And if that's true, then we're in trouble and the price will be stifled, just like what happened with FTX. You know, FTX was issuing a lot of paper Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if Binance was doing the same. They just didn't implode. And Binance has since smartened up and does very diligent proof of holdings. But if we have paper Bitcoin floating around, we get a problem. Now, one thing that I think is good is BlackRock is looking for another custodian for their ETF. Not getting rid of Coinbase, just looking for another one. This could be as a result of them not being able to honor their Bitcoin holdings properly. Now, I don't blame Coinbase either. Here's the thing that everybody is underestimating about Bitcoin. This is what everybody is underestimating about Bitcoin. There is no fucking Bitcoin. There is nothing available. There is nothing available. And if you get a massive retail wave of demand, you are going to be shocked at how quickly the price can move, because price does not move by capital flow in. Price moves by last price paid. What was the last price paid for Bitcoin? That's how price moves. So in theory, if there is a massive lack of supply out there, and there is a massive inflow of demand with these ETFs, with their custodians that are responsible for going to find the Bitcoin that they can't find anywhere, do you know what's going to happen? Omega candles are going to be a daily occurrence. You are going to see $10,000 candles on a daily occurrence, because the custodians are legally obligated to go and fill the massive demand orders that are basically impossible to fill. They will be impossible. They will be damn near impossible to fill. So what do you have to do? You have to go to every exchange and you have to clear that order book out. You have to smash buy, and every bid that is available on every exchange is going to be taken. And that's how you get to $1 million Bitcoin. So I know it seems far-fetched. I know it seems unrealistic. I know it seems crazy. But I know that there's just not enough Bitcoin to service the amount of demand that I think is potential. That there's a massive potential brewing for Bitcoin. And it's an unserviceable amount of demand. And for those that think, as we grow and we get, bigger, that stability and lack of volatility becomes a thing, that's not true. It's just not, because we've never had such a finite resource in financial markets. There's always been a way to service demand. If gold is rallying, which it is, what is everybody doing? They're opening up gold mines because they want to mine more gold. As the demand for something increases, the supply increases with everything. Copper prices are going up, people are refining copper. Housing prices are going up, people are building houses. Demand for a stock has gone too high and the price tag's too much. Stock split. Let's make more stock so that more people can buy. Every time there is a glut of demand for anything in this world, the people who can make money from creating more of it will. The problem is you can't do that with Bitcoin. It's algorithmically set. It's mathematically set. It doesn't matter how many people start mining Bitcoin. The difficulty adjustment stays the same. The issuance schedule stays the same. You can't make more of it. And there will be a time in the market, whether it happens this cycle or whether it happens next cycle or whether it happens 20 years from now, I don't know. But there will be a time when nobody can fucking find Bitcoin, and they will pay anything to get it. They will pay any price. If they find a seller, that seller is going to get the price that they want. So, don't underestimate what's happening here. I wholly believe we can get well above 200. Do you think there's any chance that the cycle might be over and we see a lower high, or no chance we're still in the bull? I find it highly unlikely that we're done here, especially when you start looking at, the fact that M2 is breaking out and rallying and doing so quite aggressively. So I don't think that we're done. No, I don't think we're done, especially because the market just experienced so much fear. And so many people sold. I mean, look at the state of the S&P. It's, people panicked. Every time people panic, look at the S&P. Look at the S&P. Panic, massive rally. Panic, massive rally. Panic, massive rally. I think that bullishness is going to come to the market. I think that the Fed is going to flip. I think that there's going to be quantitative easing. I think that this is the last squeeze of the lemon before a very bad time comes. I think the rich are preparing for their final squeeze because they know that over the coming years, they're probably not going to be able to make much money. So they need to stack shit so that they can survive the next decade. That's a totally different topic for another time. Right now, I want to talk about bullish shit. But yeah, no, I just don't see that the market is done yet. I don't see it as done. What do I think about Ergo? Same thing I think about all the alts, Barbarian. Not the time. Not the time. Ergo. Well, you know what? That's a pretty significant move. It's done it many times in the past, though, so be aware. Look at these wicks. Massive rally, smack back down. Massive rally, smack back down. Massive rally, smacked back down. Massive rally, smacked back down. So we have another, is this time different? Is this time different? Are the insiders not going to dump on retail this time? Let's see. Let's see. But yeah, for me, how I would handle something like this is I would focus on the Bitcoin pair. Focus on the Bitcoin pair and focus on the Bitcoin rotation. So let's say Bitcoin dominance starts falling and comes down here to my line where it says altcoin season starts. And then in the meantime, Ergo is, rallying up and it's broken out. And by the time Bitcoin dominance is up, Ergo's here. When Bitcoin dominance breaks down, and I can clearly see that we're in a bull market, I will be looking to gain positions in an altcoin from this area to this area. And that's it. I don't give a fuck about the price of the altcoin at all. So that means it'll be from here to here, right? I don't care what the price is. I don't care what the fundamentals are. I don't care what the narrative is. I don't care. Because this is Bitcoin profit. That's the meat, baby. That's the meat in the middle. This is Bitcoin profit. I don't care about the technical fucking breakouts. I don't care about the triangles. None of it matters on an altcoin. It doesn't. You want to make money in altcoins, pay attention to Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is working for you, altcoins are working for you. When Bitcoin is climbing and dominance is falling, you're making a shit ton of money in altcoins. Plain and simple. Don't do technical analysis on altcoins unless you're on the Bitcoin pair and you're just monitoring trend. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So what do I think of Arrow? I think it could potentially be the beginning of it starting a trend, or more likely, it could be doing the exact same thing it's done numerous times. Up thrust, up thrust, up thrust, up thrust. All of these up thrusts, where it just smacks back down. But all of that doesn't matter. All of that doesn't matter, because the moment that Bitcoin dominance starts falling and gets below this line, altcoin season starts, you take a position. You don't care about the price. You don't care if it's a green day. You don't care if it's a red day. You just take a position, spot on a wallet off the exchange. And then when Bitcoin dominance comes down here, if your altcoin didn't go anywhere, well, you picked the wrong one. Don't wait for it to like catch up. It's over. Once Bitcoin dominance is down here, it's over. So that's how I would handle pretty much any altcoin trade. There's definitely at least some paper Bitcoin. 100% NERC. 100%. There can't not be some. There's going to be some. I mean, we know that there's some, because the settlement of the ETF isn't instantaneous. If the ETF settlement was instantaneous, then there would be less of a reason for us to believe that there's paper Bitcoin. But even if you did it every 4 hours, that means there's 4 hours of unaccounted demand that needs to be settled 4 hours later. So that accounted demand is being written down somewhere. Okay, so-and-so bought this. Like, there is paper Bitcoin. 100% there's paper Bitcoin. It's just how much paper Bitcoin. Things look promising. The only thing worrisome is the whole sell in May and go away notion. So, you rally into those. Sell in May and go away is when you're rallying. And the last two sell in May and go away worked. So people are going to be like, oh yeah, the last two worked, so we're going to sell in May and go away. When you rally into May, you'll start to get a downtrend. When you've been in a downtrend since the beginning of the year, and you start to change that downtrend in May, it's buy in May, the bulls will stay. That's not a real thing, by the way. It's just something we made up here on the channel. But context is everything. Context is everything. Nobody's made money in the markets. There's been a lot of lost money, unless, there's obviously people that take shorts and stuff, but they're the vast majority or minority. So the vast majority of people are not interested in selling in May and going away. They're going to ride it out. They're going to ride it out and see what happens. So I don't think sell in May and go away is going to be a thing this time around. Or just crab the summer and rally in Q4. It's possible. It's possible. I had a dream that XRP hit 250 overnight. Crazy lucid. I would be shocked. I would be shocked. We're talking about Bitcoin here. There's no Bitcoin. There's plenty of XRP. You can always get XRP. It's abundant. But yeah, we'll see. What is that lower dominance number to get out at? 40? Yeah, around 40. It's not a science, you know. If you're in good profits, just get out here before it comes, because the liquidity is going to be so much better. Like, you know, everybody's going to be waiting for down here, so you should sell here, because you're just going to get the best prices. The best prices possible, the least amount of slippage, the least amount of spread. People will be tripping over themselves to buy your coins here. Here, there might be a little bit of a pullback, and spreads will increase and demand will decrease. So while everybody's waiting for below 42, you should be like 45. 45 to 42 is kind of the area where you want to start offloading. Always be ahead of people. Always be ahead of the herd. 45 people watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all the things. You know what to do. And if you guys haven't already checked it out, let me pull up the old black box here. Go to blackbox.pro. That is BLKBöX.pro. Sign up for your free Bitcoin trading bot. This also grants you access into the VIP Discord server. Everything's 100% free. All that we ask is that you, if you do take trades, or if you're using the bots won't work without our partners. But if you do take manual trades, all that we ask is that you use one of our partnered exchanges, whether it's BitGet, Bybit, or Blowfin. There are sign-up bonuses of up to $50,000 in bonuses for new members. So take advantage of those bonuses. And yeah, we got lots of different trading bots, more spot bots coming down the way. So we'll have some investment bots, lots of positive reviews and testimonials from some of our users. FAQs. But yeah, get into the Discord. The easiest way to get into the Discord is log into your dashboard. Once you are in your dashboard, click join Discord. If you're already in the Discord, and if you're in the Discord and your name is green, you're good. You're good to go. If you're in the Discord and your name is white, you are unverified. To get verified, you'll also only see a couple channels. To get the full access to the Discord, you need to get verified. It's free, but we need to have a verification process in place so that scammers don't get in. We want to keep it a safe place for our traders and investors. So there are a few hoops to jump through, but they're not painful. Just log into your Blackbox dashboard and join through Blackbox. That's the easiest. If you can't do that, then just follow the verification steps in the Discord. You're only going to have one channel where you can speak. You can ask questions in there if you want, but yeah. Anyways. Thank you for always teaching us. Happy to do so. I fucked up this cycle, but next cycle I will be a Bitcoin maxi. Yeah, you probably got some 90% plus coins down, which is fine, you know. The market's the best teacher out there. You could have heard everything I'm saying the entire bull market. You wouldn't have listened. A lot of the times people need to learn these lessons on their own. This is just one of the interesting and fascinating things about money and investing is you really truly believe what you want to believe. And if you can visualize yourself making a lot of money, it's very easy to cloud your judgment. So taking advice from people, if it goes against that vision of what you have in success and like the path that you need to take to get to that success, it can be very difficult to hear people. And oftentimes you won't hear people. You'll just be like, oh, okay, he's saying don't buy alts, but I think this altcoin's special, or I think I got a good price here, or I think this, or I think that. And you justify it in your head because you want that outcome. But the market teaches you. The market teaches you. Bitcoin maxis aren't just... Nobody comes into this market as Bitcoin maxi. Nobody. Okay? They're created by the market. And it's not by accident that there's so many of them. There's many Bitcoin maxis because the market doesn't change and the reality doesn't change. The reality is Bitcoin's the only one that has the ability to truly set you up for success. Everything else just is shiny and fancy and sounds good and on paper. But, you know, when you look at the P&L and you look at the state of your life, it hasn't gotten any better on an altcoin. And then when you start to really go heavy into Bitcoin, you start to notice, fuck, yeah, you know, I'm not making anywhere near the gains, but my life is actually way better in every measure. It's way better. So it takes time. That's a journey, man. It's a journey. So don't beat yourself up too much. I've never seen a 30-day and 90-day chart like MAGA coin, like 33, like number 3,300, something like that. It's literally waves. Okay. MAGA coin. I'm afraid to look. Oh, yeah. No, it's a rug. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. That's a rug pull, my friend. That is what is known as a rug. About 60% down on my initial investment. Been heavy in alts. Wish I discovered your channel earlier. Honestly, even if you did, you wouldn't have listened. The chances of you listening to me would have been very low because of all the psychological barriers that come along with it. Listen, we've all been there. I was a shitcoin trader that lost a lot as well. It's the initiation. It's to like test yourself if you're actually ready for this market. And when I say this market, it's to test yourself if you're ready to learn about Bitcoin. I still trade alts, but you know, guys, we've been in a fucking bull market for years, and I haven't rotated yet because I know like Bitcoin's the one. Once we get enough noobs in, the key is the noobs. Once we get enough noobs in and Bitcoin dominance falls because they're new and they don't understand what the fuck's going on, and they can't buy a whole Bitcoin, but they can buy thousands of these other coins. It's a tale as old as time. Bitcoin's too expensive. Fuck around and find out. But when they fuck around and find out, that's when I use them as a way to pump up my sats and use them as exit liquidity. Just like somebody did to me, just like somebody did to you, just like you'll do to somebody else. It's a ruthless cycle, let's be honest. Like it's pretty predatory, but hey, if there's an opportunity in the market, you take it. Yeah, we briefly talked about oops, must have clicked a hotkey there. Yeah, we briefly talked about Ohm. We saw what happened to Ohm, and it was a good reminder as to why you don't go all in on alts. So, yeah, giving Luna PTSD vibes. Yeah, man. It's a rug. At least Luna was a smart contract vulnerability that was exploited. At least there's a technical reason as to why it fucking rugged. This is literally just a rug. Like the team built it up after years and years and years, and they're just like, nah, fucking dump it. Destroy all the work. Erase it. Steal the liquidity. How do you feel about your average? Do you buy above your average price or try to stay below it? Well, I'm never going to get 20K Bitcoin again. So I do buy. Okay, so like it depends on your goals. And it depends what you're doing. Investments in Bitcoin above this price, I would be wary of. I would be very defensive of. I'm a little bit different because I live on a Bitcoin standard. So I'm buying every month and I'm selling every month. And that decreases the volatility. You know, Bitcoin looks like this when you just buy and hold. But when you buy every month and you pay for things every month, all that volatility gets smoothed out. But that's probably not you. So like looking to add more here, I feel like you can, and you very likely will make money, in my opinion. But at the same time, you're way up there, man. Like, we're not at 20K anymore. We're not at the point at which people were not talking about Bitcoin. People are talking about Bitcoin. Institutions are in. Are they going to make their move? Are they going to fuck us more? I don't know. So because of that, just make sure you're not don't sell the house. Don't go into debt. Certainly don't go into debt at this point. Go into debt in the bear market. Like, you know, leverage the shit out of it on a weekly green diamond. Let's just remind you guys what those look like. Oh, sorry, I'm swearing for no reason. These weekly green diamonds are the best. You know, take on some leverage, take on some debt when everybody has given up on the whole ecosystem and it's dead and it's never coming back. But when you're up here in the middle, there's only so much you can do. If you got something, if you're going to buy some spot and you're going to chill for the rest of the cycle and you're going to be defensive of that, I say go for it. But if you're planning on buying here and holding to the next cycle, or this is going to be, you know, a 10-year investment, I would just wait. I would just wait for this green diamond to come in, because it will come in. Even if we, you know, let's say we rally up to $1 million and then we crash back down to $100,000. And then the green diamond comes in. Just buy there. Just buy there. But if you're constantly dollar cost averaging in, doesn't matter, man. You'll buy the top. You'll always be buying the top and you'll always be buying the bottom. So how are you gonna stay above your average price at these prices? I mean, a lot of people bought the top, Nurk. A lot of people bought 100K thinking it was going to 200 or 300 or 400. So, you know, not everybody got in at 20K like you and I. So everybody's case is a little bit different, but the higher we go in the cycle, the more risk averse you should generally be. That's the responsible answer that I can give you. And if you are going to, you know, be less responsible, at least make sure you're in the spot market. You're not on an exchange. You're holding it on your wallet. And if shit hits the fan, you're not going to need that money for 5 years. If you meet all of that criteria, fill your boots, man. Go for it. Not financial advice. What do you think of the notion that there are so many people interested in crypto now with not that many new investors, especially after being burnt heavily last cycle, that we see less returns? Nobody's in crypto, is my opinion. You know, it feels like a shit ton of people are in crypto because we live in this little ecosystem. We live in this little bubble and we feel like everybody has crypto. Talk to your next taxi driver or your next Uber driver. Say, hey, do you have a Bitcoin wallet? Can I tip you in Bitcoin? It's a no. It's a no. I'm here in Dubai. Dubai is a crypto-friendly nation. There is a lot of crypto adoption. I have yet to see a single person in a crypto-friendly country accept crypto. We're in a fucking bubble, dude. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is buying crypto. Nobody is buying Bitcoin, except for smart investors are buying Bitcoin. Nation states are buying Bitcoin, but they have to do it sneakily. You notice with the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, they put a very heavy emphasis on the fact that they will be purchasing Bitcoin in a tax neutral way or a debt neutral way, because they know that if the taxpayers start buying Bitcoin, there will be an uproar. What the fuck are you doing buying Bitcoin? Are you crazy? The magic internet money? What are you? I think he needs to get his brain checked. Nobody's here, dude. No, there is no adoption. I know it feels like it is, but nobody's here. All right, Barbarian, have a good night. And the investors get burned every single cycle. Every single cycle. Phase one of the bull market is investors from the last cycle experiencing the first part of the bull market and getting money back again. That's phase one. Phase two of the bull market is the new cohort of individuals coming into the space. And on average, you get 10 times, like the amount of people that are in crypto right now, we will get probably, 5 to 10 times as many people coming in the later half of that cycle. So the last 10% of the cycle is where 90% of the people show up. And it happens that's the adoption cycle. That's the adoption curve of Bitcoin. So if we're sitting at, 0.5% of global adoption, by the end of this cycle, we might be at 5%. And then a lot of them will leave in the bear market because their dreams of getting rich quick didn't work. And it turns out that they have to get rich slow, just like every other way that works. And they will leave. The crypto tourists will leave. And then the cycle starts over again. Do you think we all go into a regular 3-year bear after all this, or maybe this time it might be shorter? I actually think it's going to be much, much longer. Nothing to do with crypto. Nothing to do with crypto. Everything to do with the equities market. So I know that's not what you want to hear, but look at this chart. This is a goddamn shitcoin chart, ladies and gentlemen. This is a parabolic hyperwave. This is a hyperwave chart. This is the S&P 500. This will correct 80%. I think this year or next year. Now we're getting dark. Now we're getting dark. I think this is the final squeeze before the longest bear market in crypto's history. If this plays out, if the equity market collapses, if the real estate market collapses, if the commodity market collapses, and we experience an 80% correction, Bitcoin from the top of Bitcoin to the time at which it will recover back to that top, it will take 15 years. It'll take 3 cycles. Make this cycle count. I am very cautious about this cycle. Very cautious. I think this is the last cycle for a decade. Crypto is not going to outperform. Crypto will be massive. Bitcoin will be massive. Bitcoin will be as well known and as adopted as the internet today. But just like in the dot-com bubble, here's the dot-com bubble back here. From peak to break of the peak, and I'm not saying it'll take this long, but here's the S&P at the dot-com bubble. Here it is at the financial crisis, and here it is where it finally broke out. It was 4,700 days. What is that? Got to do some live math, which is never recommended. $4,700 days divided by 365, 12 years. 12 years for the S&P to reach its 2000 dot-com peak to the point at which it finally broke out. Now, you could argue there's bull markets inside of there, and you'd be right. There's bull markets inside of there. But imagine if Bitcoin peaks. Imagine if Bitcoin peaks at 1 million and then retraces to 100,000. So Bitcoin, we'll just say it goes up and then it retraces to 100,000 and then it doesn't come back for 15 years. It's possible. It's possible. And I'm not trying to freak everybody out and make the stakes seem super, super high. None of what I'm saying has anything to do with the success and the importance of cryptocurrency. It has everything to do with how overvalued the equity market is. We are in an everything bubble. We are in an everything bubble. Equities are overbought. Real estate is overbought. Nobody can afford a house anymore. That's not normal. It's got to correct. We need to correct so that people that work jobs, normal jobs, can afford to buy a house. So we need a correction in the real estate market. We need a correction in the equity market. We need a correction in the commodities market. We need a correction in the bond market. We need a correction. Things are crazy. When things are crazy, they need to correct back down to sanity. And when we get back to sanity, a lot of people will have lost a lot of money. A lot of money will have evaporated. Thoughts on ETH? 80% S&P dark ages. It's done it before. Let's not pretend like it's never done it, right? So here's the dot-com bubble. 50%. Here's the financial crisis. Okay, maybe the S&P is a bad idea or the bad comparison, but certainly the NASDAQ. So let's call it 60. 60 on the S&P, 80 on the NASDAQ. Let's pull up the NASDAQ. Just so that you guys know I'm not being hyperbolic here. Here's the dot-com bubble. NASDAQ's probably more appropriate because it's tech focused. 83%. You know, it can happen. And the financial crisis, it never even recovered during the financial crisis. The financial crisis was another 54%. So yeah, like expect something like this. Look at this. Look at this, right? Look at this structure. Does it remind you of anything? Look at this. Actually, let's pull a fractal. I really need to paint. I need to bring this story home here. Let's bring this story home. Oy, oy, oy. Let's make this a little, man, it's hard to see. Let's make that bright. Bright for my weak little basement dwelling eyes to see. It's the same shit. Financial markets change all the time. The things that are important in financial markets change all the time. But one thing that doesn't change is people. People don't change. And we will get this same shit. We're on the same arc. We're on the same trajectory. And the same shit will happen as it has happened numerous times. So how high it goes, when it all falls apart, is yet to be determined. We don't know. But do I think we can do longer bear market cycles? Yeah, I do. And I think actually we kind of need to. And this goes back to what I think about altcoins. I know I come across as a huge fucking egregious and annoying maxi, and I'm talking to altcoin traders too, because I do trade altcoins. The reality in my world is protocols are winner take all, and the only way to snuff out 99.9% of the alts for good is to experience a massive bear market. a huge bear market where Bitcoin can create enough value and develop enough adoption and develop enough applications that squash every criticism that comes from the altcoin community about Bitcoin being too slow, Bitcoin being too expensive, it can't do smart contracts, it can't do this, it can't do that. Yes, it can. It's a protocol. It can do anything. It'll take years for that to develop. We're in the early days of the internet with Bitcoin. And we might need a decade of development to create really good wallets, for institutions to create really good products, for companies, big, massive companies like Apple and Microsoft to create really high quality products. It'll take a while. And if we don't have a bull market, the altcoins will just fizzle away into just, what's the word I'm looking for? They will just disappear into irrelevancy because they won't be developing. Because the thing that keeps the crypto cycles going is this notion that, you know, if you time your investments, and these greedy people from VC firms know that they can pump these coins up and dump them on retail. If you can't do that for a long extended period of time, and these greedy investors need to do the unthinkable and develop on Bitcoin because it's the only place people are making money, then the industry just naturally evolves to where it should be, which is adopting this protocol. Thoughts on ETH? Is it done for good? Yeah, that's my thoughts. I think it's done. Will it? So the highest price for ETH was when it first came out. And this is how I'm going to look at it. So ETH BTC. The highest price for ETH was 16 million sats. Then in the last cycle, we did half of that, 8 million sats. I think at this cycle, we would be lucky to do 4 million sats. And then at the cycle after that, it will be 2 million sats. It's a halving. It's a halving in price every cycle. And then at 2 million sats, it'll be 1 million sat, and then it'll be 500,000 sats, and it'll be 250,000 sats, and then it'll be 125,000 sats. I don't think ETH is going to go away because there's really no reason for it to go away. It'll survive for a very long time because that's just the nature of blockchains. But it's never going to make you what Bitcoin can make you ever again. Most individuals are over leveraged. Yep. When the price of BTC goes up, more expensive energy sources become viable for mining. I suppose that's true. But ultimately, Bitcoin is a heat sink of clean energy. Bitcoin just naturally goes for the cheapest sources of energy because it's all about profit margins. The cheaper you can get energy, the more profitable mining becomes. But that's an interesting note for somebody looking to mine Bitcoin really quickly because the price is so high. That's interesting. But those miners would be the first to shut off. So yes, and I think it would be short-lived. Bitcoin kind of nurtures this sustainable energy grid, in my opinion. Do you feel like crypto is really the best asset class to be invested in as of this moment, even better than gold? Gold seems to be unstoppable. Gold's structure is nothing to look down on. It's incredible. Gold's performance is absolutely incredible. Its structure is beautiful. It's perfect. There's no argument there. But here's the P&L from the breakout. 16%. Cool. I'm not here for 16%. I'm here for 1,600%. I'm here for 16,000%. And I understand more about Bitcoin, and I trust more about Bitcoin than most of the world. And so do you. And based off of my understanding as to where this is going, I think that there's much more opportunity in Bitcoin. Now, the other side of that, which is very valid, when gold corrects, it ain't correcting 80%. When gold corrects, it might do 30%, 40%, 50%. So there's value in that. Massive, massive value in that. Don't get me wrong. And I will be forced to diversify. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I live on a Bitcoin standard. I buy Bitcoin every month. I pay for all of my living expenses with Bitcoin. And eventually I'm going to be quite tempted to get into a currency that isn't falling so much. So, the next in line for me is the dollar. A lot of people are like, oh, you can't hold dollars. Well, the dollar is being deflated away, and you can, it's a currency that goes nowhere but down. True, all true statements. But in the context of a global meltdown, cash is king. It's not going to fall 80% in like a weekend. It'll still be in the context of craziness in the world, cash will be king. And that's fine. That's fine. You just ride it to the bottom. And then once I feel like we're at the bottom, I just transition back to being a Bitcoin maxi, living on a Bitcoin standard. I mean, I'll always be a maxi, but it's just maybe I'll want a little bit of cash reserves to hold me over to the bottom where I can go back into being into living on a Bitcoin standard. Silver is safer. I disagree with that personally. I think that silver is gold for poor people. Hot take. Sorry. I do think there's less demand for silver. Cigarettes and liquor reserves could be a good strategy. I'm a digital nomad. I don't have a warehouse where I can keep tobacco and moonshine, but that's definitely a currency. That's a currency in trying times for sure. All right. How long we've been rolling here? Over an hour. I got to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. But everyone can own it. I mean, yeah. But nobody wants it. I don't know. We're all entitled to our opinion. I'm not a precious metals guy at all. So like it's hard enough just to get me to look at gold, let alone silver. Like, especially me being a digital nomad, like fuck gold. Fuck gold. It's the stupidest thing in the world. Like I can't have more than $10,000 worth of gold because I can't cross a border without telling them, hey, just letting you know, I got like $10,000 worth of gold. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you here? What are your plans with this gold? Where did this gold come from? Blah, 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 blah. Whereas I can hold, a massive net worth in my fucking head if I can memorize 12 words. All right. Thank you guys for joining in to the live stream. Really appreciate all of you joining in. If you guys didn't already, hit the like button. Help a brother out. Help spread the word of Black Box. If you guys aren't in the Discord, get in there. It's free. It's not clickbait. I'm not fucking with you. It's free. If you take a trade that makes you some money, we're offering our entries, exits, take profits, all of that. All you got to do is just use one of our partner exchanges to give us a little micro kickback. Like it's 0.06% of your fee. We're not asking for a lot. We give a lot. We want to see you guys succeed. We want to see you guys through this bull market. We want you to be bull market ready. We want you to be successful. If any of that resonates with you at all, get into the Discord. Ask questions if it's not clear on how to get in and how to get verified. If you just want to test your name inside of the Discord to see what color your name is, if you are green, you are good to go. If your name tag is white, you are unverified. So get into the Discord. Let's get ready. Let's dominate this market together. And until next time, please trade safe